It's because like I spent my life dodging, the feds for lack of a better term and worrying about being shot at and stuff. Like this is a phone call to me. This is nothing. Like I'm blessed more than anything to be here. That's why I want to teach people like it's okay. There's nothing to be scared of at the end of the day.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to Be the Connection podcast, where we dive into stories of community, mentorship, and success. My mission is to bring you inspiring conversations, real insights, and the kind of value that helps you grow. So grab a seat, settle in, and let's get connected. Today's guest is Willie. Thank you, Willie.
Hey B, pleasure to be here. I'm grateful to have the privilege and honor to be a part of your podcast. So thank you so much.
So give me a little bit about your background and kind of, what you're doing now as far as, business goes.
Well, background. I kind of have a joke that I say. I guess you could call it. My childhood and growing up was a cross between a Fox sitcom and a Lifetime Christmas story rolled into one. I've seen both sides of the tracks, for better for worse, and life was honestly pretty rough growing up. So with that being said, I found real estate ironically through rapping. I was learning to be a rapper, learn how to do publishing, and I wanted real money. I've always been an entrepreneur, hustler, and I wanted more than just kind of streams and stuff like that. I wanted to be in video games on TVs and having mailbox money. So I'm getting ready for a show and I hear a YouTube commercial speaking on wholesaling with Maxwell. My hands are full of ink and everything. And so I can't really click the skip button like I normally would. So I listened to it and it kind of changed my life. We were facing a distribution charge and doing a lot of things, trying to change my life in a lot of ways. And it gave me an outlet, gave me a way to kind of change everything. I went from uh, skip tracing through county records and driving for dollars in my neighborhood kind of thing in a small little town of 30,000 in New Mexico, Carlsbad. Yeah. Shout out. And once I realized you could actually do it, it kind of set me on a path that was never going to stop. I went to learning how to help people, mentoring, and just kind of roaming Facebook. I turned myself into a closer. As you can tell, I like to talk. So I was able to kind of grow. But what I do mostly now is I help people close their leads and their deals, teach them cash and creative. I help them on the calls and kind of navigate that stuff with one of my mentors, thankfully, with one of the people who taught me, I guess, vicariously through his teachings through the vault we have in our sub 2 community, Mr. Vincent Lanza, Uncle Lonzo. So it's a blessing to have come kind of full circle from learning his methods to being able to be a part of his team and then kind of the closer on the day-to-day operations. So that's kind of a gist of it where we are right now.
Nice. So tell me, how did you and Uncle Lonzo meet?
I answered an ad. Honestly, he had put the people that he had working with him were about to move on onto some different things. It was a peaceful and a happy kind of party, so they were prepared for it. So he put up a post on our private community group, basically saying, "Hey, we're looking for acquisitions and closers and stuff. We would love to reach out, connect with people." I commented, basically saying kind of what I told you, and said that I learned what I was doing, was able to even pay for my mentorship using the Lonzo method. And him and Bob, his partner, were able to interview me, and a couple went through. From that point back, I believe in like August, November somewhere is how we actually got some Zooms and we got to actually meet face to face. So I had sent messages in the past, but he's such a busy man. He would respond quickly, and that would pretty much be the end of it. But now I have his number, and I can call him at any point. So it's definitely a blessing.
That's awesome. Isn't that amazing? It's like simple as like one comment. I kind of have a similar story just because, how I met my team member. It's like making that connection, and eventually that connection introduced me to my team leader. But it was all because I made a comment. And I was like, oh my goodness, wow, there's people out there who are go givers, who put themselves out there and want to help others. And it's up to us to reach out and just say, I'm here. Like, let's do this. And next thing you know, man, the magic happens.
Connection is real, right? And just it's amazing
Yes.
what you can do when you just stop being scared of things and just kind of go for it and just see what
Yeah.
opportunities come, for sure. It's been awesome to be able to be a part of the back end of things and have the support and the systems that I was doing all on my own before. Have an assistant and a VA, and I have to worry about things and pass them off, and it's fun for sure.
That's pretty cool. Okay. So you heard the commercial about wholesaling. When was it that just really pushed you to just do it, to take that first step?
Um, I usually don't need much when I have an instinctual feeling that something might be worth paying attention to. And like I said, it was a longer commercial, and I got the gist of it. And something about the way he presented it made me check out his page. So I went to YouTube University, probably solid for about a month, while I was doing everything else I was doing because I was curious about it. And as I started to learn it and understand it, it made me take action. I was like, well, let's see what's for reals, because there's always mentorships. And coming from what I came from, real estate was like the furthest thing from my mind. Like to me, I
Yeah.
thought you needed money and those connections, and like it was a super long process. And I mean, it was a way for me to get into a world I never thought that I could. So once I understand something and I feel like it's worth an attempt, I'm always willing to fail, as many times as it takes. So I kind of get there, and that's what happened. Proof of concept finally came through, and I mean, I just never looked back, really.
Man. So Uncle Lonzo's helped you by this time already. I mean, you're doing deals like consistently. And so what advice would you give someone that Uncle Lonzo gave you?
I think in the beginning, shiny object syndrome is your friend to understand yourself, because I like to call real estate a thousand piece jigsaw puzzle with no picture. When you look at it, it's just a bunch of little pieces. You don't know where to start. You don't know where to begin. You're just trying to figure it out. And as you go on, it kind of becomes a play school puzzle with the picture, because you always have to figure out the solution to the problem. It just becomes a lot,
Hmm.
right? So for most people, finding out what they like takes some process, because then you might have an idea of what you want to do till you actually do it. I mean, because I can do underwriting, I can do the dispo side and TC work. I don't like it. I don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And that's just being honest. But
Like me, I love TCing.
yeah, and that's what I mean. That's why I love you guys. I mean, once I found out how easy it was to be able to work with you guys, because in the beginning, before the group, I was doing everything by myself because I didn't know no better or no. I mean, in them early stages, you guys weren't pushed to the front like you are now, like we needed. You know what I mean? So it was a blessing to be able to move on with that kind of stuff. So it's super hard to kind of feel like you get lost. But when you find something of real estate you love, stick with it. I mean, understand it in and out, become obsessed with it almost. And that's
Yeah.
what's going to bring you the value and the connections, because like I said, it's a puzzle, and at some point you will be needed, and then you will be that piece to finish their picture. I mean, so it's okay to keep trying things and learning and just find what you love, especially in the beginning.
Yes, man. Yeah, I think it was for like the first 7 months of, being in the community. I was doing something I was not wanting to do, but I knew that it was a necessity and, eventually I knew I was going to get to TCing. It's just that initial first steps, learning. It brought me a lot of education though when I did start TCing. So it did help, So I think too, no matter where you start, it's definitely a blessing in disguise. Eventually you will get there. Eventually you'll get to a place where you're more comfortable. You feel the waters and you're like, okay, all right. So, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced and I mean so far in your investing journey?
Um, Personally, imposter syndrome, honestly, like I said, coming from what I came from and in the background, and I don't necessarily always look like the normal investor or be able to accomplish what I've accomplished in the time. I can always suit down and do that stuff, but on the day-to-day basis, I like to be myself. So
Yeah.
imposter syndrome was something that I kind of had to get over, understanding that I knew what I was talking about, that I actually brought value, that I was good on the phones, that people needed people like me, and that I was actually able to teach people because of the experience that I had to learn the hard way for the most part. So I got into sub two. I understood the other side of it, the intimidation factor that people felt, or you mean feeling like they weren't going to
Yeah.
learn it fast enough, or the learning curve, or you mean finding their place. So that was one of the biggest things that was helpful for me, for sure.
Yeah, and being able to relate to others, especially sellers, if they're just going through things, you have that empathy in you to know, okay, this is their situation, how to approach them. So it makes you a good closer.
Yeah, I mean, like people. When I said the understanding the shiny object syndrome to find what they love, I was good at sales because I had no choice as a kid. Like I
Yeah.
was selling baseball cards and Pokemon cards as a kid to eat, like in school, right? So I understood right away
Wow.
supply and demand, and how to negotiate and how to become friends and to become, you mean that, and obviously that grew into things that it shouldn't have. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have found real estate. But again, that's a blessing in disguise. I mean, so it's cool, full circle.
Do you feel like it's different now? Because I know, growing up, and I completely understand what you mean. Like, especially like, man, the struggles that, a kid can go through growing up and being in that survival mode. Do you feel like it's different now than when you were younger? Because I mean, you still negotiate, you still do it, but you're not doing it no longer on that survival mode. It's a completely different feeling.
I love it, and I think a lot of people, they ask me how I'm able to continue to do what I do, or how I don't take offense to certain things, or how I can kind of turn red to green sellers pretty quickly, or I mean, I'm able to navigate a conversation so quickly. It's because like I spent my life dodging, the feds, for lack of a better term, and worrying about being shot at and stuff. Like, this is a phone call to me. This is nothing. Like, I'm blessed more than anything to be here. That's why I want to teach people, like, it's okay. There's nothing to be scared of at the end of the day. Like, they're
Yeah.
not gonna hurt you. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You're only gonna get better. I mean, so it's definitely the transition again goes back to the imposter syndrome. Like, it was interesting to see myself be able to grow and use those tactics and those methods and that business mentality and entrepreneurial spirit, and that trust that has got me through life in the streets, was able to transition so well into the business world, because trust and relationships will actually get you a lot further than a good deal, or just some numbers or money. People won't want to continue to work with you, and it's going to get you
Yeah.
a lot further.
Yeah. What I see a lot in you is the post traumatic growth that a lot of people sometimes they just really don't even know what it is, but it's because even after what we've been through growing up, we're still able to come out of that and be successful, still be able to excel in other things. It's being where you were and knowing, hey, I don't want to be here. I want to be here, and doing everything that you know that you can possible and more to make sure that you get where you want to be. Why do you think it was important for you to go through the struggles that you did to be here?
Um, Not to be preachy, but because I mean, God has a purpose for everybody. And like I mentioned in the very beginning, I saw both sides of the track. So majority of my life was very, very tough. And I seen things that most people shouldn't. I was paying bills as a kid, and I was cooking by the time I was 6, and all that stuff. I mean, the typical stereotypical story, but at the same time, I did understand love in certain aspects, and I did understand what it was to be around people that had money, and to see what it was like to see people that knew how to treat others well when they had that, and to be able to understand the difference of actual generosity and people who were just trying to make themselves feel better. You know what I mean? So it was able to, for me to be able to kind of let people know that no matter what the background is, because it doesn't have to be a struggle background. I mean, it could be a farm kid or somebody who just, grew up in a smaller town or something, who doesn't know any better. You know what I mean? And because of that, I understood that there might be a better way. And I think that a lot of people that come from what I came from in most aspects don't understand that there's a better way. So
Yeah.
I had the purpose to be able to kind of teach that. I feel like that's my obligation in a lot of ways, to show that there's another route.
Wow. Everything that you're saying, it's like, wow, I think a lot of times we forget where we come from and how far we've come, that it's important to know and realize, hey, we are definitely farther than where we started. This is some good stuff. How did overcoming those challenges change you as an investor today?
It made me plan in a way that I never had to plan before, because in the streets you have to plan, and things are chaotic. So there's no kind of stability. With the investment world, your reputation is everything, but that means credit, that means business, that means relationships, that means you cannot mess up. You have to be able to stand on your word. You know what I mean? And it made me grow and into another level of that, and change and understand that I was no longer just playing with my life and money in a lot of ways. I was playing with other people's. You know what I mean? I was
Mhm.
getting them to trust me with their, whether it's a 401k or the money they work for from a W-2, or you mean investments their own selves. You know what I mean? So the responsibility it brought to me was something that made me grow a lot. Understanding that, to know that there was things happen, and that's understanding, but you have to be able to acknowledge those things before the deal even begins with your partners and stuff. You know what I mean? Being able to plan ahead. So it made me grow as a person, definitely, for sure, as far as planning and maturity and responsibility.
And for someone listening who doesn't have a mentor or guide, like, is there anything that you could say that would help them find some type of direction?
I have this motto I've always kind of lived by. If they don't have what you want or have done what you've done, you have no business paying attention to them. So they don't necessarily have to be in front of you day to day. We're in a world of information and a world where you can find pretty much anything you want just from scrolling. You can spend 5 minutes on TikTok and get a random video that might draw your attention. You know what I mean? So with that being said, you just have to kind of push through that and understand what you're trying to accomplish. There's really no excuse at this point for that to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going back to yourself and understanding that it's there. And it's not gonna be easy, but nothing worth having is gonna be easy. You know what I mean? So if you don't have somebody in your life directly, or if you feel like all them people are not the good example, or like for me, I have people that were working 9 to 5s and they're district managers for major parts companies, and they were people I looked up to a certain aspect because of their family, the responsibility. But like I didn't see myself working a job like that or being a corporate person. But I found those people through, the internet, through books, through different ways. I mean, you don't have to be direct. You can take that knowledge and what fits your goals and apply it to yourself. That's what they did. That's what they got where they're doing. You can do the same thing.
Yeah, taking different pieces from different aspects that people are doing and putting them together into your own. So that's really, really good. How have relationships and networking played a role in your success?
They've been everything, honestly. The networking allowed me to get my first wholesale done because I knew I met somebody from just being active in the local area and Facebook's groups who was actually doing it before me. So he helped me get the thing dispo. And so that was the first part of it. Uncle Lonzo's whole method is basically you turn cash deals into creative deals for people who don't know how to. And you turn, it's free leads basically in a sense. And again, that takes networking. You have to go out to these wholesalers who are putting the work and the investment in. You got to get them to trust you. I mean, and because of that's the next part of it, knowing pace, just being able to say that he knows my name or stuff like that. Whenever he came to Lubbock, I was the one that reached out to put the meetup together with like a week spare time real quick. You don't forget those things. You know what I mean? Working. I gave him a rug that I had made from my own company, from the rugs that I make. And to this day, it's pretty much over his back shoulder in the Montana house right now. It's just a peace sign, stuff like that. Networking, it brought me more money from that aspect of it. That took me into the writing the songs for the sub two and the No One Left Behind and stuff. And they joke about other things. That's gonna hopefully get me into the summit next year for some fun stuff and expose that. You know what I mean? So networking's been everything. Networking got me my first rental with no money out of pocket. It was able to, put myself out there, brand with the right people, connect with my brother Lorenzo, and he actually just sent $3,500 today through the Square for an invoice so we can get the rental rehab through a buddy of mine who's gonna do it
Yeah.
super cheap. We're gonna get a kitchen countertops, we're gonna get a bathroom done, we're gonna get paint and trim work all for $3,100 total, right?
Wow.
Got me that because he's a buddy of mine through music. So
Yeah.
working really is everything.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So, quick question, because I remember Pace playing a song last year. Was that you?
Yeah, there's the sub two song specifically where I dropped Chino's name and Elena and stuff like that. And then there's the No One Left Behind challenge, one that he had me write in November. No one left behind. This is no one left behind.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I was wondering, now I can finally put a face to the song because I know that sounds familiar. I'm a very kinesthetic and visual learner. I want to make sure, okay, I'm writing everything down that I can actually see it. When I talk to people and see them, I tend to repeat your name or say something about that I'm able to remember. So now that it makes so much more sense. Oh my goodness. Now I know where to share this. Those are some really good hits.
I appreciate it. So I mean, it's amazing to me to think that when I first saw Pace, it was on YouTube in my journey. Uh, my girl was getting ready for a transplant. We had just lost our son. We had just moved to a new state after COVID. And I messaged Pace on Instagram. Just told him, hey man, I really appreciate what you're doing out there. Thank you for everything. It's helping me get started because I definitely don't have the money to get involved in sub two right now. It was the furthest thing from my mind. And he responded, and it blew my mind, and it motivated me even further. And I mean, I got more deals done and kept pushing. And I mean, too, that's why I did the rug and did the song, the first one. The sub 2 one, I guess the joke was, I guess, a while back was that they played that one in Michael Jackson because they're in the Michael Jackson phase right now because it's sub 2, so they love that one. So that's how he wound up asking me to do the No One Left Behind one. You mean, so it just puts me more and more out there and they remember me and it's just more networking, just more credibility.
Yes. Okay, so now we gotta share those for you on here, okay? Oh, that's so good. What's your approach to building and keeping those relationships strong and long term?
Honesty, transparency. I've made hundreds of calls, talked to hundreds of students, but I only keep in touch with a handful. And there's nothing personal with it. And if they need me, they know they can call me, and probably vice versa. But the beautiful thing about this community and any community that you should be involved with is that friendship that you should have. It should be more than just about business and numbers. And that's the
Yeah.
most beautiful thing about this place because I run into more and more people who are like myself, who relate to my story, you know what I mean, who might have even felt like it was not something they should have embraced right away because I mean, there's an aura about Sub 2 that you mean you just want to be almost perfect. Like, you know what I mean, it's because it motivates you. I mean, I always crack the joke about the cult thing and stuff, and I'm like, I'm fine with it, stay away. You know what I mean? So it's fun for us. You know what I mean, and that's one of the most beautiful things about the group for sure.
100% agree with you because that's what I longed for was that community. Growing up, I didn't have family. So I have my family now with my husband, my girls. Now, outside of that, that community of other people, usually people find it like in a church, but if they don't have that, where else can I get that? Where else can I get that sense of like support for success and life and family? And this has been it.
I got major trust issues growing up the way I did as well, right? And then the fact that I was able to accomplish deals in wholesaling just from YouTube videos and
Yeah.
just I mean banging my head against the wall. I never there's so many gurus and stuff, everything, so many places that you don't want to deal with that. You don't want to work with that. Like, and I didn't. And I never believed in the Tony Robbins kind of stuff until I actually understood it more. I mean, so mentorship wasn't something I was ever going to pay for. I mean, I was small minded in that aspect. I understood that you need
Yeah.
a teacher, but like to me, I felt I didn't want to be another number or like another
Yeah.
face in the crowd, and that's what definitely separates Sub 2. So I had no intention on joining any other one prior or anyone after. Honestly, I got everything I need right here, and honestly, just kind of have fun with it, just because it's entertaining to me. If that's at that point now. I mean, so yeah, it's I don't like nonsense. I don't like people who play games and stuff. I'm always willing to teach them. If you don't know anything, or if you know anything, I'm willing to add value. I mean, vice versa. I learn all the time too, because I don't know everything. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
working with somebody if I did.
And so, for someone who doesn't have connections, who's listening right now, what's the best way for them to build a network?
Sadly, that definitely based a lot on territory, and location of where you are. If you're in metropolitan areas with people, 100,000, 200,000 in a city and stuff, it's a lot easier to find people doing what you're doing. It's a lot easier
Yeah.
to go out and boots on the ground and talk to brokers and agents and find the people who are investors. And I mean, it's a lot simpler that way. If you're in the more rural areas, it's gonna have to be a lot of that aspect of going outside of your normal social medias, the Reddits and the WhatsApps and the places, the YouTubes, doing genuine outreach to people that you found on, videos or TikToks that you liked and making that connection that way. I mean, it's gonna be harder, of course, but I mean, circumstances are what they are, but there's always an option.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Lubbock. What's it like living out further west where you're not near metropolitan areas?
Well, I said that last statement like it might be a negative thing to be in a rural area, but like now that I think about it, I am that example. I mean, I just it's doing constant outreach on using the internet, using the resources you have, the free ones.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot going in Carlsbad, especially. It's an oil field town, and they didn't know what wholesaling was unless we were talking about maybe T-shirts at Walmart or something crazy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Over here, Lubbock is starting to understand more and stuff, but I was honestly in that ground floor kind of push of it when I got here about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So we were helped to move through that, but there wasn't a whole lot you could do at that point here. So I wanted to continue to grow. So I had to find people who were doing it in the other cities. I mean, I don't have family in the Dallases and the Houstons and stuff like that are doing any of this. So I had to, make my own connections and figure out where those people were.
Yeah. Have you found that as time goes by, there's more and more people out towards that area?
I get people in little towns that were smaller than Carlsbad now hitting me up and like for locational hobs and like it's just a small southeast corner of New Mexico, just dirt and
Yeah.
nothing. And we're talking maybe 50,000, 60,000 at max for populations, and we're talking an hour, hour and a half between each city. And there's
Wow.
people that are in the group and people who are
Yeah.
not in the group, and Jamil's stuff or Jerry Norton's stuff, or I mean, so it's continuously growing. It's definitely getting out there. So I'm glad and blessed that I got in when I did to be able to kind of avoid some of the riffraff and get that middle
Yes.
child title that I have now within the community. Plan to head towards San Antonio. We've always been in
Yeah.
some areas. We love the culture in San Antonio, and just there's always work there. Another thing too, it's a lot closer to a lot more of the bigger meetups. And you see we're closer to what's
Yes.
going on, boots on the ground stuff.
Yeah. So if you were to start over today, would you do anything differently?
I would advise myself to not be intimidated by my own self. Honestly, just there's nothing to be scared of. Honestly, no matter what you're doing until you try it, a few times you're probably not going to get it right. And if you do the first time, well, then God bless you, and keep pushing.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things. Just I would tell myself to not get discouraged or overwhelmed, not to feel like I'm not doing good enough or that there's a timeline on it.
That's good. What's a daily habit that you do to keep your mindset?
Prayer is a huge one. For me, I'm Muslim, so the 5 times a day allows me to kind of reset and balance throughout the entire day. It also helps me with the discipline aspect of it. I mean, and then
Yeah.
reading something that I've acquired. I've always enjoyed books, but it was more audio a lot of times. And now it's more of a focused and kind of an intentional read, especially when I'm absorbing things because I got to sit there and focus and I can't be distracted. Otherwise, I kind of just wasting my time because I just to the page and then got to go back over it. So that makes no sense.
Yeah.
It kind of focus and when I'm reading intentionally, it's obviously for a purpose. So it helps with my goals and stuff like that.
Nice. In this community, it's real estate. Yes. But it's something different about it that doesn't matter where you come from, what you believe, what you're doing. It doesn't matter your nationality, any of that stuff. It matters about wanting to lift each other up and be there for each other and actually support one another to make sure that we do end up being successful and that we're not just struggling, that we're actually just hitting the goals, hitting life skills and life events that are impactful. So I really love that.
You know what? I was gonna say, ironically, on that whole subject, whenever I first joined SIP2, the only Zooms I was really hitting or like really focused on, and the first friend I kind of really made that was a big deal to me was Elena Tang because she was running the motivational Zooms and everything. And like I said, I was battling hard with that imposter syndrome and stuff. So yeah, it's beautiful to be able to get all the aspects of personal growth in the
Yes. Yes, I love that. I remember that. What's one more piece of advice that you could give someone feeling lost or unsure where to start?
lead with value, and everybody has value. No matter what you know or don't know, there's always somebody who needs that. There's always somebody who wants to teach because even if you don't know anything, there's somebody who wants to build a team and is growing with you. If you do know certain things, offer those things. It's value. Lead with value. It's gonna only help make with connections, the networking aspect of it. You're gonna be the first person they think of in a positive light, and not somebody who's being thought of as always being asked for something or asking for something. I guess I'd say so. Lead with value always.
Yeah, that's important. I just want to say thank you for making the time because a lot of what you said really helps people understand that from different areas of life that we can all come together, talk about our stories and share them with other people to know that you're not alone out there. You can definitely make this happen. Well, how can people get a hold of you, learn more about what you're doing, and just connect?
Honestly, Facebook's probably the quickest way. I'm always my number is probably out there everywhere, so I'm gonna give that to you to share with anybody as well.
I know that's how I get a hold of you.
I'm in the directory, so I'm pretty easy to find. But honestly, Facebook, Willie Andrew Mata Nahar, because there's my dad's name's Willie Mata, and there's another Andrew Nahar, so I had to put my full whole legal birth certificate name in there so you could find me pretty easy. But
Uh,
it's the easiest way. If not, catch me in one of the Zooms or something and reach out, and I'm happy to connect.
Thank you again, Willie, and we'll see you guys on the next one.